Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. And well, today is Taco Tuesday.
It's raining tacos from out of the sky. Tacos, no need to ask why. Just open your mouth and close your eyes. It's raining tacos. It's raining tacos out in the street. Tacos, all you can eat. Lettuce and shells, cheese and meat. It's raining tacos. Yum, 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 yummity yum. It's like a dream. Yum, 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 yummity yum. Bring your sour cream.
Gotta love Taco Tuesday. No better day to celebrate the diversity of America, of the United States of America, than on Tuesday. And like I said, I've said it before and I say it again for those of you watching for the first time. What I like about Taco Tuesday is it's just a representation of how so many things have come to America, in particular, whether it's food, whether it's culture, whatever it is, came to America and we made it different, thus making it better. No matter where it comes from, no matter what it is, we have made it our own and we have made it better. And well, Taco Tuesday is an example of that. Anyway, plus, who doesn't like tacos? I don't know. If you don't like tacos, maybe you're watching the wrong show. Anyway, I am Craig DeLuz. I am your host today, and we are talking about the news of the day, talking about it from an everyday person's perspective. Normally, once again, for those of you who do not normally watch, normally I'm here with my good friend, Mr. Michael Pilwarski, who comes to us from the Gunshine State. That's right, the state of Florida. And but he is going to be on vacation. He's going to be out of Dodge for the next few weeks. So it's just going to be us. It's going to be me. It's going to be you. It's going to be the news, and we're going to be handling it. We're going to be having a good time talking about it together. And usually, what we do is we start off all of our conversations with a quick shout out to our sponsors. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to start with the folks over at Hitman Industries. Hitman Industries makes rifle and pistol caliber barrels that are available for purchase at any length. To purchase one, all you have to do is go to hitmanindustries.net. Now, if you've purchased an AR in the last few years, there's a good chance you already have one of their barrels, so why not get another one? So whether you're looking to do a brand new build or you're looking to rebarrel an old rifle, start your journey, start your project at hitmanindustries.net. Now, we've got the California Republican Assembly working to help elect conservatives at all levels of government, from school board all the way up to President of the United States. They are the largest and fastest growing conservative grassroots organization in the state of California. You need to find out why Ronald Reagan referred to them as the conscience of the Republican Party. You can do so by visiting cragop.org and becoming a part of California's future. Now, if you want to become a part of California's future today, you got to join CRA. And then we've got the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market. You will find them at hogholsters.com. They believe in helping Americans wear guns. That's where HAWG comes from. You want to know how much they want to help Americans wear guns? They're willing to help Americans wear guns. They're willing to give you a discount. All you have to do is when you go to their website, you find something that you want to buy, use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces, one word, just like it is right there, and you will get yours on discount at hogholsters.com. Then we've got the place where you can find all things tactical except the gun, and that would be at uscombatgear.com. Now, they specialize in group sales, and they have huge discounts for group sales. They also have a huge selection. They have the best customer service available on the market. You need to find out why. Just once again, go to their website, check them out, buy something. Trust me, you will know why. uscombatgear.com is the place where you will find all things tactical except the gun. Now, if you're watching this program in the 3 o'clock hour or the 6 o'clock hour, 3 o'clock hour on the West Coast, 6 o'clock hour on the East Coast, and all time zones in between, you're watching us live, which means we're taking your comments. We would love to hear what you have to say. Let us know where you're watching the program from. Let us know what you think about the program in general, or let us know what you think about the specific topic. And we don't care if you agree. In fact, if you disagree, it's actually even better because then it gives us the opportunity to, well, to mock you.
Oh, wow. Is that a mockingbird?
Man, is that a mockingbird? Is that a mockingbird?
That's right. As Mike would say, we will mock you. And we will enjoy doing it. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into today's stories. And we're going to go ahead and start with, well, right here in California. As I told you, with Mike gone, some of these stories might be a little California leaning. And it's not because, well, it's partially because I'm here in California, but it's because all things idiotic and leftists tend to start here, or at least if they don't start here in California, they tend to reach their apex here in California. And this next story is a great example. Now, in the state of California, we have created this thing called it's the winner take all. Not winner take all. It's called the jungle primary is the term for it, or they call it officially the top two primary, where the top two candidates, so it's not going to be Republican versus Democrat guaranteed, with every party getting their candidate making the final fall election. It's only going to be the top two candidates. So whether they're both Republicans, whether they're both Democrats, whether there's a Republican or a Democrat, whether there's a Greenpeace party or an independent, nobody cares. Whatever two candidates get the top votes, that's who's going to be there. Well, an interesting thing has happened this year, and that is where the top two candidates, or at least two of the candidates who've consistently ranked in the top three, have both been Republicans. That would be Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco and former Fox host and commentator Mr. Steve Hilton. Now, what else has happened is that in the state of California, we have a whole bunch of Democrats that are, we'll just say, not ready for prime time. In fact, basically, most people don't like them. Even members of their own party don't like them. And there happen to be so many of them running. I believe there are 8 of them total running, and that's not including the American Independent candidates or the DTS candidates or the Green Party candidates, that there's a ton of Democrats who have decided that they're going to enter the race. Well, the problem is that there was a debate that was scheduled for tonight that was supposed to take place. And it was going to be where they only wanted to have the top candidates. They wanted to limit the number of candidates because total if you just include the major parties, there's 10. If you include all the non-major parties, there's even more. There's a total of 62 people running. So they had to find a way to decide who was going to be able to participate in the debate, because there's no way you can have an efficient debate with 62 people. In any case, they basically decided to do it based on a combination of polling numbers and finances raised. 2 ways in which we have historically determined who are the legitimate candidates. Well, it turns out not a single, by the way, in the most diverse state in America, not a single one of the candidates who made the stage happened to be a person of color. And so the organizers of the debate over there at USC have decided to cancel the debate.
Tonight's debate in the hotly contested, California gubernatorial race is no longer happening. The University of Southern California canceled the forum after facing backlash for excluding candidates of color, including these 4 prominent Democrats you see here on your screen. They called on others to boycott the debate. The university invited 2 Republicans and 6 Democrats to participate using methodology developed by one of its political science professors. The school has defended this methodology. Let's bring in CBS News political director Finn Gomez. So, let's explain this methodology, and is this really a controversy?
Look, USC has been under fire all week over its decision to exclude these 4 candidates of color from tonight's debate. That included also, by the way, Vlad, HHS Secretary, former HHS Secretary Javier Becerra and former LA Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa. And remember, Latinos are, the largest ethnic group in California, about 8 to 9 eligible voters. But those 4 total that were excluded called the criteria rigged and demanded a boycott. USC held firm right up until it didn't. Late last night, less than 24 hours before the debate was set to begin, the university pulled the plug, setting what it called a significant distraction from the issues that matter to voters. And like debate formula USC used did rank candidates on polling and fundraising, something that is customary. But critics pointed out that it let in San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan, a white candidate who polls lower than some of those excluded. USC says the methodology was airtight, but I think some of the optics were hard to survive. But the whole situation shows, Vlad, just in this really large field, about 10 plus candidates, especially on the Democratic side, it could cause some of these unintended effects. And it's difficult to have too many candidates on a debate stage, Vlad, just too much at times.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, Finn, we are more than 2 months away from the primary election. Do you think if the debate had happened, it would make a difference in the race? I mean, given that there's so many folks that are in it right now.
Right, that's a great question, KOD. I mean, look, probably not a decisive one, but in this race, that is so unsettled. Like every moment counts, every moment matters, and some of these debate moments really can have an impact. Look at where things stand right now. Look, the front runner in this race has changed multiple times in just the last few months. If you look at the latest polling, a quarter of voters are still undecided, and no Democrat is broken out of that pack of like 8 Democrats or 7 Democrats. And there's a very real scenario where the 2 Republicans in the race, Steve Hilton and Chad Bianco, can consolidate their base and lock Democrats out of the November runoff entirely. So though that's actually what could have made tonight's debate so consequential.
Ultimately, that is their number one concern. That is the problem right now. Is Democrats are concerned that they need to do something to stand out, because here's the deal. The last time they had a debate, Chad Bianco did not participate. I don't know why he did not participate. He probably should have participated, because what happened was Steve Hilton, who's been, once again, consistently in the top 3 of candidates, he stood out head and shoulders above the rest of the candidates. And here's just a couple of responses that he gave during that debate that really, by all intents and purposes, had most political commentators ranking him as the winner of the debate.
Mr. Hilton, your housing plan.
So my parents were refugees from communism in Hungary. My stepfather worked construction. My first job was project manager for a construction company. I remember starting my first business and made enough money just to buy a small home back in London, and that feeling of walking across the threshold. I achieved this. I earned this. We are stealing that from this generation. That is a crime. The very first issue I worked on many years ago, when I wanted to develop solutions for California and our problems, was housing. I developed a plan to end the lawsuits that block housing, but also to stop the taxes on housing. I actually talked to Matt about it. He didn't agree with me about capping taxes on housing. He likes taxes, apparently, unless they're on billionaires. We've got to end the taxes on housing, and we've got to end the war on single-family homes. They call it sprawl. I call it the California dream. I want everyone to have that dream of a single-family home of your own that you can afford to buy.
All right, Mr. Hilton, thank you.
We have to end the Democrat climate crusade that has led to these astronomical gas prices that are particularly hurting working families who drive their cars and trucks 2, 3, 4, 5 hours a day. It's not the climate warriors in Marin County tapping away at their MacBooks that are hurt by high gas prices. It's working class Californians. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to stop the insane importing of oil and gas from halfway around the world on giant super tankers, spewing out carbon emissions while shutting down oil production right here in California. That makes no sense. We're going to end these environmental regulations on the refineries that are causing them to shut down with zero environmental benefits. That's how we get to $3 gas. That's going to help every single working family and small business in California. It will reduce our costs.
Okay, so I wanted to point out that there's a couple of things here that I wanted to point out that he did that none of the other candidates on that stage did. Number one, he made it a point to have a specific plan to address The two biggest issues that are facing that are creating the feeling of unaffordability in the state of California. One of them is energy costs. The other is housing, and that's what those two items covered. And he didn't just talk about blaming. He didn't blame corporations, right? He didn't just blame Donald Trump. He actually, and by the way, he did blame Democrats because as he recognized both of those issues in the state of California that are making California so unaffordable are the results significantly, I'm not saying solely, but significantly of Democratic policies. When I say Democratic, I mean Democrat Party policies. And then here's the other thing that he did. He had solutions. This is what we're gonna do. And by the way, he explained them as simply as could be explained. We're going to get rid of the overregulation, whether it's dealing with and taxes, whether it deals with real estate or whether it deals with energy. We're going to get rid of the unnecessary taxes. We're going to get rid of the unnecessary regulations. That doesn't mean there's going to be no regulations. Doesn't mean there's going to be no taxes, although that would be nice. But it means that he's going to get rid of the unnecessary ones. Now, I don't know what Chad Bianco would do in these cases. I guarantee whatever he did would be better than anything that the Democrats would do. But Chad Bianco didn't participate in this debate. Now, once again, the other candidates, all they could do was they blamed corporations. They accused them of price gouging. All they did was they blamed Donald Trump, right? They said unaffordability is grocery stores gouging you, right? They said it was energy companies gouging you. Even though gas prices and home prices in red states are significantly lower. Why is that? Why are they not gouging people in red states? Oh, I know, because they're not gouging people. The difference between the two is the amount of the regulation and the amount of the taxation, in particular on those two products. Well, not just those two products, on just about everything that goes into our cost of living. Now, all that having been said, they're upset. They're saying we're not going to have this debate because no candidates of color were present, were invited. Well, let's see. First of all, let's talk about the fact that most of the other candidates are all polling somewhere around 2%. 2%. The only one that is there that is down in that area, and I think he's somewhere around 3 or 4%, was the mayor of San Jose. And that's largely because he's been able to raise money. Why? Because he's in Silicon Valley. I mean, he's right there with Silicon Valley. That's why he's been able to raise money. That's why he's there. Right? Bill Steyer's doing better because he's able to buy poll numbers because, well, he's a billionaire. But make no mistake, Eric Swalwell, Tom Steyer, Katie Porter, I forget who. Oh, Mahan was the other Democrat. So it was 4 Democrats I think there were 6 Democrats. So I guess there were 2 others and 2 Republicans. Basically, all Caucasians made it, and that's because that's who Democrats are supporting, or at least they have more support than the candidates of color. Once again, the most diverse state in the nation does not support ethnic minorities. You got 2 Latinos running, didn't support them. You got 1 black guy running, although in people's defense, he has played a significant role in ruining California schools. Well, now I won't say ruining because they were already bad before he became superintendent of public instruction. He just didn't do much to improve things, including sitting on his hands, saying absolutely nothing while our schools got shut down, while our students lost 1.5 to 2 years of education. He said and did nothing. You got Betty Yee, who's part of the State Board of Equalization, in the highest tax state there. They handle taxes. That's the highest tax state in the country. You got Mayor Villaraigosa, who was the former Speaker of the Assembly, former mayor of Los Angeles, one of the biggest failed cities when it comes to crime, when it comes to education, when it comes to taxation. You know, he did slightly better than Karen Bass. So you've got a bunch of candidates of color that really. I almost forgot. I almost forgot about Mr. Javier Becerra, good old Javier Becerra, who during his time as Attorney General saw an increase in crime in California. Now, I would love to say that it was I would say that it was the first increase in crime and violent crime in the states, in 20 years before, but there was one Attorney General before him that saw that same increase, or just significantly greater increase, and that would be Kamala Harris, who went on to become Senator Kamala Harris, who would then eventually go on to become Vice President Kamala Harris. So basically, he's been a part of failed policies right and left. The thing is that none of these folks have stood out because none of them have done a particularly good job at anything. At least Chad Bianco can point to the fact that he's seen crime go down significantly in Riverside County. He can point to that. And but seeing as how that's the job of a sheriff, I think he gets to declare that. Right? The other thing is that one thing I will give Steve Hilton is he has actually spent time. And I mean, when I say time, I mean he has spent a significant amount of time over the last few years interviewing people, actually studying California's issues, studying the environment, studying water issues, studying the economy, studying education, speaking with leaders up and down the state, and developing a plan. And quite frankly, as far as I know, and no, once again, nothing against Mr. Bianco, but Mr. Bianco, I haven't seen your plan out there the way I've seen Steve Hilton's plan out there, a plan to fix a lot of what's going on here in California. Now, I would be lying to you if I told you that I had a favorite among the two, because to be honest, I want both Chad Bianco and Steve Hilton to make the runoff. Because if they both make the runoff, then California is guaranteed to have a governor that is going to be better than anything the Democrats have to offer. My only frustration with both candidates and their campaigns is that they tend to, what's the word I'm looking for? They tend to spend more of their time beating up on each other than on Democrats. They do. They seem to forget this is not a traditional Republican primary where only one Republican is going to come out. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Focus on tearing down the Democrats. Whoever the Democrat frontrunner is, tear him down. Right now, that would be Eric Swalwell. Mr. Fang Fang, Mr. Sleeps with Chinese Spies, Mr. Who wants to eliminate ICE, Mr. Who doesn't really live in California, who's governing, who's been representing a district in Congress out of a P.O. box. Focus on him. Knock him down. Katie Porter's already kind of killing herself with her get out of my shot. Right? Focus on them and promoting your candidate. Once you guys both make the runoff, hey, no holds barred. You do you. Go get them. Till then, get there. Till then, just get there. Come on. This ain't that hard. This really is not that hard. Set your ego aside and focus on what we're here to do. We're here to replace a Democrat as governor of the state of California. All right? All right. Point made. Anyway. You might have heard, if you haven't traveled by now, ICE has been deployed at U.S. airports. And let's just say it's going kind of interesting, shall we say. Folks are none too happy about it. There are a lot of folks who are none too happy about it. You might recall basically the reason why they're there is because TSA has not been, you might say that TSA has not been, what's the word I'm looking for? TSA has not been funded because Democrats refuse to pass funding for Homeland Security, places like TSA are not being funded. And as a result, the president has decided that he was going
real root issue, which is to end the partial government shutdown. There's also questions over how this is actually going to bring the next paycheck to TSA workers. And then there's an added layer of frustration for whether we're going to start to see a strong immigration enforcement unfolding here at airports.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Oh my God, why would you want those people? I'm sorry. Talk about total terror.
I don't know if that's the right response. I think that you should vote for who you vote for, but, you know, they voted him in, so I'm not supporting it, but whatever it is, and we try to make the best of it, that's all.
And President Donald Trump announced the plan on Saturday that Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents will be deployed to airports starting Monday as long security lines continue at other airports because of the shutdown. However, a specific plan is still unclear. The move comes as the Department of Homeland Security has been without funding for weeks, leaving TSA officers working without pay. Officials say hundreds of screeners have quit or called out, causing delays nationwide. Now, off camera, several TSA workers at Dulles tell Fox 5 they're struggling financially and mentally over the uncertainty of this. They also added that although they're not getting paid, they understand that it's still their duty to show up. Meanwhile, the Trump administration says ICE agents will help with added support, freeing up TSA officers for security screening. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says assisting TSA is familiar work to ICE.
So one of the things that the horror stories you may be hearing about that's going on or that took place in San Francisco, once again, right here in California, took place at SFO. And I will give Fox Channel 2 out of the Bay Area some credit. By the end of the piece, they actually do kind of hit on the truth behind the story, and I think that's important for y'all to hear.
Surrounding an incident last night at SFO where a passenger was detained by ICE agents. KTV's Jana Katsuyama has more on what happened. Jana, we also just heard from State Senator Scott Wiener there at the airport.
Certainly, it is just wrapping up. He's still talking a little bit about some of the other issues that James was just mentioning. But I'm going to step aside so you can see, like right now, we're over at the International Terminal, and the spokesperson here for SFO did confirm that there were ICE officials here Sunday. Take a look at the video that we posted, that was posted on social media that precipitated this debate. A lot of questions raised by this video of this very public struggle that involved a woman and two officials. The video that was posted online, as you can see, shows a woman crying out as two men tried to detain her. The woman who was recording that video and posted it with a tag ICE out is asking the woman questions. Text on the video claims the woman was with her young child and was asked for ID when she was involved in the struggle with the ICE officers. Now, KTVU has not been able to independently reach that woman or confirm these details, but the San Francisco police do have an airport bureau, and they tell us that the incident happened around 10 p.m. Sunday. Police say they received a 911 call and learned the incident involved federal immigration officials. We also received a statement from an SFO spokesman who says, quote, "We understand federal officials were transporting two individuals on an outbound flight when this incident occurred. We believe this is an isolated incident and have no reason to suspect broader enforcement action at SFO."
So now, needless to say, even though this is the fact and the information, that didn't stop folks on the left, in particular members of Congress and those running for Congress, from making their point here. Like, for example, this is Congressman Ami Bera, who, well, currently represents me and is now running in a different district. I'm deeply disturbed by the video of a Sacramento mother being arrested by ICE at San Francisco International Airport in front of her daughter. Now, mind you, let's be very clear. One, they come to find out she's not from San Francisco. Point number two that they failed to point out is that she was already in custody. She was in the process of being deported. right? She had a deportation order from 2019, meaning it is now being 2016. 7 years later, they are finally deporting her, right? They're finally deporting her, and she attempted to flee. And so that's why they are arresting her, because she was supposed to be out of here 7 years ago, right? And this is a congressman, someone who swore an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. And here's someone who's violating that. And he's, instead of supporting the Constitution, he's supporting her. Here we have Senator Scott Wiener. ICE needs to get the hell out of San Francisco. Once again, this is a guy, if he were part of the Democrat establishment, would be voting against funding Department of Homeland Security, which includes TSA. He would have been completely against it. And now here he is. He's mad because they're doing what? ICE is here and they're doing what? They're enforcing the law. They are doing their jobs. But nobody cares. Nobody cares, right? Once again, I agree with this dude. This is what I paid for. But anyway, the point that I'm making here is you see here, all these folks are angry, and the folks on the left are angry and they are outraged. Not because here's the deal, folks. A lot of this is happening because people refuse to do their jobs. People on the left refused to require them to do their jobs. ICE's mandate has not changed. It has not changed under Donald Trump. They're just actually doing it. They're actually removing people. And when you see a dramatic increase of somewhere between 50 and 20 million people in 4 years, of course you're going to see an increase in the number of people being deported. It's going to happen because you saw a dramatic increase in the number of people just being let into the country. Once again, I will say it one more time. This is not rocket science. 1 and 1 does equal 2. 2 plus 2 does equal 4. And when you decide that you are just going to ignore the law, ignore enforcement of the law, when the next person comes in and they say they are going to actually enforce the law, guess what you're going to see? A dramatic increase in enforcement. Now, you can't control the percentage of people against whom it is. Does it seem like more people of color are being detained? Yes. Why is that? Because disproportionately people of color were the ones who came in during, in particular, those last 4 years through our southern border. Once again, this is not rocket science. It doesn't take a brain scientist, a rocket scientist to figure this out. You don't have to be a brain surgeon to understand why this is. But for some reason, we don't care about truth. We don't care about fact. All we care about is emotion. That's all we care about. And, I forgot, we care about one other thing, and it's the most important emotion in many of their minds, and that is Orange Man bad. Orange Man bad, so therefore, anything he does is evil. And enforcing the law, evidently, in their eyes, is now evil because, well, it's again, bad man, evil, bad, or Orange Man bad. Anyway, changing the subject for a brief moment, let's talk about jury. A jury has found that Meta actually failed in protecting young children from sexual predators and misled users in landmark New Mexico case. This is being reported by the folks over at the New York Post. Meta failed to protect kids from sexual predators and misled users about its platform's safety, violating New Mexico law. A jury Tuesday found Tuesday in a landmark case. The tech giant was ordered to pay $375 million in civil penalties. The verdict came after 6 weeks of testimony from witnesses, including ex-Meta executives, teachers, and online safety experts. The New Mexico prosecutors argued that Meta hid the extent of safety issues that kids faced on Facebook and Instagram and failed to enforce its claims. Its claimed minimum age limit of 13, even as its algorithms allegedly made it easier for creeps to target kids for online harassment and even sex trafficking. Quote, the safety issues that you've heard about in this case were mistakes, State Attorney Linda Singer told the jury. They were a product of a corporate philosophy that chose growth and engagement over children's safety, and young people in this state and around the country have borne the cost, she added. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I feel kind of two ways about this. The first is that, I'm always a believer that when it comes to products, let the buyer beware and know exactly what it is that you're doing and what you're getting yourself into. I'm a believer that in particular, when it comes to minors, parents need to pay attention to what their kids are partaking of. You need to know what's on their phones. You need to monitor what they're spending their time on. And you need to, especially when it comes to social media, limit the amount of time that they're spending on it. And once again, who they're communicating with. And spend some time making sure you're talking to your kids about a lot of this stuff, about being safe and all of these fundamental things. Now, that having been said, one of the things that came out in this trial was that Meta knew about a lot of these risks. The engineers, the decision makers at Meta were not ignorant of the risks to young people. Now, I don't know what exactly it is they could have done. Evidently, the jurors had enough information to believe that they could have done something, but they really didn't do anything. In fact, they either misrepresented, misled, lied about, or just ignored these risks and the necessary safety precautions that need to be put in place. And I know they could have put some safety precautions in place, because I know that when it came to politics or dealing with or marketing anything having to do with politics, I can tell you this. It made it almost impossible for people who were working with grassroots organizations who just wanted to boost a post on a political issue, made it almost impossible for them to be able to qualify to be able to do so. So I know if you can put those sorts of restrictive things online when it comes to politics, you can't tell me you can't find a way to protect kids when you know that they are at risk. You're just not going to convince me of that. What I'm hoping that this does is that it makes all the people who are running these social media companies a little wary of, conscious of, okay, if we know there is a risk of danger to children, we need to do something to protect them. We need to figure out what we can do. If we don't know what it is right now, we need to do it. So I'm hoping that this sends a message. I don't know that $375 million is going to send enough of a message, not for a multi-billion-dollar corporation. But this may just be the first lawsuit. So let's see what happens after this. The other thing that I hope that it does is it wakes parents up and it wakes kids up to the dangers that can be there on the internet, that while the internet is a blessing, while there is so many things and so many wonderful, fulfilling, so many things that you can accomplish with the access to new connections and information in the internet, it's also a very dangerous place. And it is a place, these are dangers that cannot and should not be ignored. Kids should not be unmonitored while they are online. They just should not. And you need to be spending time knowing what your kids are partaking of, knowing what they're participating in, knowing who they're communicating with. I get it. It's going to take you more time. But you know what? That's what you signed up for as a parent. That's exactly what you signed up for as a parent. So anyway, deal with it, folks. Deal with it. Because if you don't, you won't pay the price. Your kids will. How you like that? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about your kids paying the price for you choosing not to be engaged and involved in their lives? Not saying, just saying. All right, that now moves us along, and we'll go back to Orange Man Bad as a No King's Day protests are planned once again. They're coming up this weekend, this 28th. It says No King's protests may draw the biggest and most diverse anti-Trump crowds ever. This being reported by Time. They're not Time Magazine anymore because I guess they don't do the magazine. Anyway, it says here the next widespread protest against President Donald Trump is set to draw big numbers as missiles continue flying across the Middle East. Gas prices keep rising and airport security lines continue to stretch ever longer. There is no reason to think Saturday's third nationwide No Kings protest will be anything smaller than the one in October that drew millions. In fact, all signs point to March 28 potentially being the single largest day of domestic political protest in history. After all, Trump has the highest disapproval rating of any president at this point in his presidency in this century. But for those looking for meaning in venting, the makeup of those coming out to protest should draw just as much attention as their size. They've grown bigger. These millions strong protests are shifting from partisan echo chambers venting rage into something somewhat closer to the broader electorate. If the trend continues this Saturday, Republicans should be terrified. Okay, here's why I'm going to tell you I'm not terrified. Because number one of the biggest issues we're dealing with right now, the Iran war, will be over well before the midterm elections, well before the general election in the midterms. And as a result, gas prices will come down. And by the way, gas prices are up not necessarily because of the Iran war in general, but specifically because of the Strait of Hormuz, which is something that is going to be dealt with shortly. If the president can't figure out a way to deal with it, well, then he needs to take his lumps. But I have a strong suspicion they're going to have it worked out well before then. I also know that as we are going to start to see the economic numbers really significantly. Well, first of all, they've already started to turn around as inflation once again is down. Once again, down around 2.2, 2.4% and dropping. We're already seeing that productivity or GDP is increasing. National productivity is increasing. Consumer price index is getting stronger. By all indications, the economy is doing better. Unemployment is holding steady. We're going to start to see the fruits of some of the investment that some of these companies have made. We're going to start to see the fruits of the deregulation and the deregulation that has taken place. We're going to see some of the fruits of the removal of millions of undocumented or illegal aliens here in the country. We've already seen that when it comes to rents coming down. We're going to start to see as he makes it easier to build homes, we're going to see the prices of homes come down. And we're going to see energy costs come down. We're already seeing crime has dropped. I mean, homicide is at an almost all-time low. Violent crime is at an almost all-time low. The crime in general is at an almost all-time low. Donald Trump is going to get credit for all of that. Those who are out there protesting, these are people who were never going to vote for Donald Trump, period. And while they may show up at the picket lines, they're not going to show up in significant enough numbers at the lines at the polls. So, all that having been said, now there are a couple of things that are, I'm going to say right now, are warning signs that Republicans need to pay attention to. Number one, the economy's got to get better. I know I said I believe it will get better, but just because I say I believe it will get better does not mean that it will. And as long as Democrats can find a way to jam whatever they can in the wheels of progress, they will, because they would rather see the economy fail and Donald Trump look bad than to actually see America do well. They don't want America to do well if it means Donald Trump gets the credit. That's a real thing. It's a truthism. It's true. They would rather see America fail. They would rather see you unemployed. They would rather see you lose your home. If that will inspire you to vote against Donald Trump. That's what they want. That is their goal. The things going on right now with TSA, they don't care that people are being delayed 6 hours at the airport, as long as they can deal with you and get you out of here. So anyway, that's where Democrats are at. That's what they want. They want America to fail. They want America to fail because they can't take any credit if it succeeds. And that is the reality of it. All right, folks, that now brings us to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces, one word. Get your Hog Holster today. All of our parting shots today are going to be brought to you by our friends over at the Babylon Bee. Fake news that you can trust. Let's see here. We're going to start with airport wait times eliminated after TSA checkpoints taken over by Chick-fil-A. Yeah, they do a pretty good job when it comes to waiting. Mike would love to hear that one. He refers to them as the Lord's chicken. I prefer the heathen chicken over at Popeyes. But, I still go to the altar on Sunday and ask for this. Here we go. Another massive fraud ring exposed at D.C. Old Folks Home. For those of you who are just listening, I believe that's the U.S. Capitol building. Not saying, just saying. It says here, terrorists give up after 3 hours in TSA lines. Yeah, there you go. Although I will say this. Now, let me be clear. One of the reasons why I'm glad that Trump is going to have more ICE agents there is having more lines means having more people. These are more people before security check lines, which means these are, and by the way, in a gun-free zone. These areas are now soft targets. We want to have more law enforcement with firearms there to patrol and to protect the American people. So that's why one of the reasons, even if they're not working, helping TSA on the lines, helping TSA do security, I don't care if they're doing that. I just care they're helping with security. Anyway. And then finally, CNN calls war for Iran. I believe I did that one yesterday, but just in case I wanted to repeat it because, yeah, that's pretty much still how they do it. All right, folks, that brings us to the end of our program. But before we go, we're going to do one last shout out to our sponsors. We're going to start with the folks over at Hitman Industries, rifle and pistol caliber barrels available for you to purchase at hitmanindustries.net. We've got the California Republican Assembly, the conscience of the Republican Party. Check them out at cragop.org. We've got the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market at hogholsters.com. That's HAWG holsters.com, helping Americans wear guns. And then finally, the place where you can find all things tactical except the gun. That would be at uscombatgear.com. All right, folks, once again, that's going to be it for today's program. We will be back tomorrow on Wednesday, which is Hump Day. Till then, y'all have fun, stay safe, and we will see you mañana.